And we are live with Jen Medernach. How are you this afternoon, Jen?
I am doing fantastic, Kelly. How are you?
I'm good. So you are Vice President of Mergers and Acquisitions during your daytime job. You're an advocate and coach for DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and women's advancement of women. How did you get to where you are today with what you do?
Yeah. So on the one side, my professional career, um, I've always done work that's about transformation and change. I kind of fell into it doing project management. There was always key projects and strategies and work that had to get done. And I just seemed to have a knack for it and also a passion. I love taking something to the next level. And so currently, yes, I'm vice president of mergers acquisitions at Thomson Reuters, and helping spin up a separation management office and helping with all our divestitures that are going on. So just a fascinating world. And again, part of transformation and change that were happening there. For the past 30 years, though, my heart has always been with supporting women and empowering women. And I think a lot of that came to me from some early experiences where I realized in my youth I was a little spitfire, had opinions, had a strong voice, had a presence. And then as I got older and started doing more corporate work in the world, that was really diminishing. And my voice was getting extinguished. And I had times when I felt invisible and that I couldn't make a difference. And I had to stop myself a few times. After having some moments where I would literally have people tell me to shut up, or I wouldn't get invited to meetings, or I would offer up an idea and it was then taken by someone else in the room and said and acknowledged, and off they go, and I kind of sat there going, what just happened? Like, I just said the same thing, and what happened? So I'm like, if this is happening to me, is this happening to other women? And so I just kind of lifted my head out of my little world and looked around, and yeah, it was. And I'm like, I want to give back. I have mentored for 20 years my alma mater, Gustavus Adolphus College. Every October, I'm excited to get assigned a new junior or senior girl that is just full of life and excitement. And then after that 1 year, sticking with them for a while and just being. And then every company I've worked with, Kelly, I have been a part of their business resource group or employee resource group or affinity group, whatever you want to call it. And I've just always been a part of that. Giving back, finding programs and designing programs, speaking, and being part of mentoring circles. I also do it out in the community for nonprofits too. So it's just a passion I have, saying, hey, women, like, we got this, and let's have each other's back and keep taking ourselves and the unprecedented change that we in the world have around us right now. Like, we can have an impact with that. So that's my heart, and
Yeah.
that's my expertise.
So you look at around the globe, how women are treated in business, and they try to rank these kind of things, and the Scandinavian countries do very well. And there's some other countries in the U.S. is probably more towards the middle.
Mm.
But when I look around town, there's a lot of emphasis in the Fortune 500 or 1,000 companies at least for the advancement of women, for empowering women, and that's been over the last 20 or 30 years. Do you feel that women are being overlooked when they're equal, or how much progress has been made?
Yeah, I would say there's progress that's been made, Kelly, but more has to be paid attention in that area. So there's a report that comes out every year, and they've been doing it since 2015. McKinsey Company partners with Lean In and that organization, and they do a women in workplace report. And in the 2022 report that came out, they found that women still want opportunities and flexibility and well-being, and they do want to be a part of that DEI, that diversity, equity, and inclusion. Basically, what all of that, let's just wrap that up in one thing. They want a better culture. They want a better culture. And culture, in my experience, is how we show up every day at work together. How we show up. So opportunities for the women that I've met over my decades. It's not always career advancement. For some, it is, but for others, it's an opportunity um, to contribute, to make something better, to get creative. In my experience, the most powerful change of the culture comes from organicness. So it's the women, it's the individuals, it's us making a difference. So here's an example for you. There was a team I was working with, and we realized we had to make decisions faster. Like we had to, like time was shifting, we had to make decisions faster and go. And we were in an organization where things had to get approved and approved and approved and approved. And there was like 10 meetings of approval, which took over a month to get on people's calendars to get decisions approved so we can make something better. And I came into this crew and I'm like, let's just make the decision. Like, let's just make it. So again, there are these small little moments of changing a culture that you can do with the team and you can do on a project and do with other women and other people and be collaborative. You don't have to wait for something big. So I think sometimes we think culture change is this huge, like organization, mammoth thing that has to happen. And in my experience, for women to contribute and make change, it can be small and incremental and powerful.
Ha, that's really interesting. And so because I always say, if you want to see an idea killed, put it in a committee.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you work with, so are you working with individual women with these kind of issues and saying, hey, start small or just start making decisions and kind of radiate what the culture should be
Yep.
from what is that kind of conceptually what you're doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And every woman is unique. So I always meet them where they are. So there was a woman I was talking with yesterday, and 2 years ago we were in a mentoring relationship, and she was just stuck. I mean, she loved her job, but she didn't love it every day, and she just didn't have that passion. And I said, well, what do you want? She goes, I just want to have joy again. I just want to feel joyful in what I do every day. And I'm like, all right. Step one, awareness, right? Let's be aware of how you're feeling and what needs to change with that. And then we just create a plan together. It's like, all right, let's start small. What would that look like? Who do you need to talk to? I'm a big fan of seeing the world as abundant and women supporting women. And it basically comes down to this: don't wait. Don't wait for someone to figure out, what you need to do. You know what you need to do, but you have to take that time to just, number one, be aware. And sometimes that self-reflection can be a little challenging, and you need a little bit of help of someone just listening to you and saying, here's what I hear you saying. You're just not happy. Right? I'm not happy. You want some joy back in your life. Yeah, I want some joy back in my life. So what parts of your job do you love, and which parts of the job do you want to let go of? And she created a plan, presented it, and 2 months later, she has a new role, and she is as joyful as I've seen her in 2 years. But she made it happen. So there's this piece for me, Kelly, where it's like, why wait? No one else is going to create your future for you. No one else is going to create your joy.
In a lot of ways, what you're describing is a process of self-awareness and then self-empowerment and then self-motivation to
Mm-hmm.
not only lay out what you're looking for as a person, but how you're going to try to create a culture around you that is more friendly towards what's important to you and what's going to be supportive to the women around you or the people around you, which I think is really a fantastic way to view that. It's a very, ultimately it's a lot about you. And I would assume there's also that element of making sure you have good leaders or people around that are accepting of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and to not be afraid to tell people what you're trying to accomplish. Like, don't keep that little secret to yourself or in your head. Share it. Like, share it and talk about it, by being open and curious and talking to different people about what they've gone through or where you're at, and say, what do you think about what I just said? And get their perspective. Amazing stuff can happen.
You know, very interesting. And it sounds like the networking and support part is a big piece of what you talk about. I'm curious, as a man, I have leaders that I look up to in business. The Richard Bransons of the world, the Warren
Mm.
Buffetts, the Bill Gateses of the world. Um, as a woman, do you look up to the Mary Berrys of GM or the Karen Lynches? Do you have a group of women that, you know, like I wasn't really even aware of it until you and I were about to have this conversation. I said, I really only I'm paying attention to men, and
Mm.
I had never really done the self-analysis of it, but I'm assuming maybe it is because I'm a man, and I want to see parts of myself in them and learn from the best. Do you do that same thing with executive women around you or not?
Yes and no. What a great question. I'll tell you who comes to mind right now, and it's not like I follow them or seek them out. It's kind of these moments of ignition. Like I may read something about it, and away I go. So I go back to my youth. Oprah, like Oprah Winfrey, like amazing, amazing life that woman has led, and so inspirational. Melinda Gates, inspirational. What she and Bill with their foundations are doing out in the world. Brene Brown, the last couple of years, her really taking a platform of vulnerability and courage, and saying like, wear that openly, wear that on your sleeve, be vulnerable because people will be pulled to that. Um, and then there's people like my mom. There's people like Glenda Crisp, who is a VP of data analytics that I currently work with, she is just smart beyond belief. And I'm just always wowed by listening. So I am surprised every day by the women that inspire me. And I'm going this afternoon, as a matter of fact, to a closing ceremony of a mentoring program we've done with a nonprofit in town called Brittany's Place. And they support young girls coming out of human trafficking here in Minnesota. And I have been blessed to mentor one of the women that lead that program. And we have our closing ceremony this afternoon. And Michelle, who has been my mentee, I have learned more from her in the last 6 months than I have learned from anyone in a long, long time. We come from different worlds, we come from different backgrounds, we come from different experiences, all of that. But I have learned from her, and she inspires me. And a year ago, I wouldn't have known that Michelle Hall I look up to.
Hmm.
So it's not necessarily there's the Oprahs and the Brene Browns and Melinda Gates, and then I have my mom and my friends and Michelle and these other amazing women that just come in and out of my life, who inspire me. And they inspire me, Kelly, because they are who they are, and they're imperfect, but they're powerful. And that's what I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to imperfect and powerful because that's in every single one of us.
Yeah, that's great. And you said that was Brittany's Place. Is that the
Yeah,
name
it's
of the
called
charity?
Brittany's. Yep, it's called Brittany's Place. The Brittany's Place is located in St. Paul, and they're part of a nonprofit community called 180 Communities, and they just do really amazing work for men and women who are coming out of disadvantaged situations. So, yeah, I get to spend some time this afternoon with them.
That sounds like an absolutely fantastic charity or organization. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Hopefully our listeners can take a look at that online and decide if they want to donate to something like that.
That'd be great.
And I think many of us experience what you talk about when you talk about strong, smart women. Some of us or many of us are lucky to have mothers that are, really the bedrocks of our lives. I was certainly raised in a family with very strong, smart women on both sides, and so I think many of us can relate to that concept. Thank you so much for your time, Jen. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. And for everybody else out there, you are listening to the Kelly Wendlandt Podcast.